Huh. Thinking about if I should go to Los Angeles to make my movies, because you need a budget to make a movie. And I've done my best work before, and I have more of my best work in the future. So I have more of my best work to do in the future. So I'm not about to retire. So, people like working at what they're good at, what God made them really good at. And I think it's wrong for me to have to work that hard and no budget from here, after I've already done more work than someone like Vincent van Gogh has or did in his entire life. I've already done more of more genius work than he did in his entire life for my best work, if you were to actually compare the two. So that's me, John Birmingham. And people who make movies get budgets for them in Los Angeles, and I was not able to find outside money, or outside money from whatever I was doing or working with my mom and dad to pay for the budgets, and the budgets weren't high enough. It was so much work, because then you had to work that hard to make all the money, and then you had to work that hard to make the films, and the films still haven't made back the money that I should for my work. So I'm thinking about going to Los Angeles because they have real budgets for movies there. And I was, what I had to go through to get the budgets for my films was something really, really not easy, and I don't feel like doing that again on a small budget. Why do the South Park guys get paid billions of dollars to keep having to make that much good art, and that, the really entertaining, really good films and videos and TV that they do, I wasn't paid compared to the budgets that I had to spend. I was paid, maybe I made $1 million with me and my wife, because my wife got a bunch of money at her videos that I was like producer of. So she kind of made some money at it, but you don't work at something for 30 years to only be paid $1 million, for two people. That's like $15,000 a year. Okay, that's humiliating. So I'd rather be in Los Angeles, and that's at her work. What was I paid for my real films? I was put to work. I was put to work at other people's kind of work that was not that fun for me. So I may go to Los Angeles because I have more to do on Earth, and it's a little bit frustrating, as you can tell right now. That's the funny thing, is they want you to jack all shit like that, about another woman instead of my wife, and they think if you don't, then you must be mean and frustrated, right? You think that somebody must be frustrated if they don't jack off to random women and shit. Well, I'm actually married, and I'm trying to think about being with her. So just because I'm not thinking about having sex with all this bunch of women or whatever, doesn't mean that you're angry. That philosophy of either one or the other, that's bullshit. Some people are not led into temptation, and they feel the best ever, and they don't even have to think about sex anymore, and they're really athletic and they feel good and they're happy, or they're not athletic and they're happy. You don't always have to maybe they know more about God and Jesus than I do. Maybe they know more about God and Jesus than I do, and I wrongly assumed about them. I don't know. So I'm really good at my work at making the entire movies and starring in them, or playing the lead actor in them. You know, I'm really good at that. So why am I here in Virginia making videos? You know, a movie costs money. A movie costs money. Where do I get the money to be paid to actually get to work at making my films? You know, that's what my best work is. That's what my best work is. And acting. I haven't done any of it in 11 years. I haven't done any of it in 11 years. I made videos. Look how little I was given. Instead of 3 billion views, I get 12 million views on my channel. It's small. And a Ronald McDonald video that got 63 million views on somebody else's channel that I didn't even really get the money for. Ridiculous. You don't work at something since you're born to have so little. You know, when I was 3 or 4 years old, I had a little guitar in my hands. You know, you don't work at something for that long to be paid so little, and to have that much more work that I can actually, you know. So this may sound like angry or something, but you know, I'd like 3 billion views. You know, I'd like 3 billion views. Okay, I'm gonna get. I'd like 3 billion views. God told me I'd get 3 billion views. God told me I'd get 3 billion views.